Hey guys, welcome back. This video is the continuation of the previous part where we were modeling this mechanical connector shape. In the first part, we created the main shape of the model. If you haven't watched that part yet, you can check it out first. In this part 2, we'll work on the smaller details and continue modeling until the model is complete. So, without wasting any time, let's jump right in. Alright, now we'll model these small inner details that you can see here. First, select this edge loop, then press Shift-D to duplicate it, and after that, press P and separate it by selection to turn it into a new object. Now select that duplicated edge and go into Edit mode. Extrude it and scale it inwards, adjusting it while looking at the reference so the shape fits nicely. Next, add loop cuts exactly where the detail cuts are in the reference. Add the cuts nicely, place them carefully, matching the reference, take a moment, and adjust their position so everything lines up properly. Once that looks right, we can extrude it. Now select these faces where this part needs to go down and extrude them slightly downward. Here, select and delete the unnecessary faces that were created. Now select these outer edges and extrude them down. Add a cut here. Now we'll create the hole over here for the screws. Select this face and insert it inwards. Then use Loop Tool's circle to make the shape perfectly circular. After that, scale it and position it nicely so it fits in place. Now extrude it down, and then delete the faces inside. Next, select these faces, duplicate them, and separate by selection because we'll use them to create the screws. Go into the duplicated object, select this edge, then extrude and scale inwards. After that, extrude down a little, then extrude once more. Now use Grid Fill to fill this part. At the bottom, try to align the edges properly. Next, select all these edges and bevel them. In the bevel settings, set the profile shape to 1 and also disable loop slide. Now go back to the other mesh. Select this edge and bevel it. Select these edges as well and bevel them. If it doesn't bevel properly, select the entire mesh and press Shift-N to recalculate the normals. Now select those edges again and then bevel them, and this time the bevel works properly. Now we'll copy the circular holes all around, so select these faces where the holes should be present and delete them. Now select this middle circular edge and press Shift-S cursor to selected to place the 3D cursor at the center. Next, select these faces where the hole is, duplicate them, then press Alt-E and choose Spin. Enable Use Duplicates and adjust the number of copies. Here we need 4 copies. After that, select the entire mesh, press M by distance to merge overlapping vertices. Now the circular parts are copied nicely all around. Using Spin with the 3D cursor in the center makes this much faster. Next, select these edges as well to keep them sharp, and then bevel them. Activate the Subdivision Surface modifier and shade the object smooth. Now this part looks good. Next, we'll also duplicate the screw meshes around. Select the full screw mesh, then press Alt-E Spin. Enable Use Duplicates, and now we get copies all around. Alright, now let's model the middle screw in the center. Select this edge, duplicate it, and separate by selection. Now select that separated object, extrude the edge inwards a little. Then select these faces and extrude them up slightly. Delete this edge here. Now, with the 3D cursor in the center of this circle, you can see it's placed right at the center here. Let's add a circle, and over here, change the vertices to 6, so we get the hexagon shape for the screw head. Scale it down and position it so it fits inside. Now, to connect this properly with the surrounding mesh, we need the same number of vertices as the outer circle. Select this circular edge, and at the bottom you can see it has 24 vertices. So we'll subdivide this circle until it also has 24 vertices, so the topology connects cleanly. Now, over here, in the middle of each section, this part is curved, and you can see that in the reference image. To create that, we'll select these middle vertices. First, hide the other meshes so we can focus on this part. Select every middle vertex of this circle like this. Enable proportional editing and change the fall off to sphere. From the front view, move these vertices down slightly and adjust the fall off with the scroll wheel to create a smooth curve. Once that looks good, unhide the other meshes. Now we need to fit this circle perfectly into the surrounding mesh. First, make this vertex active. Then open the snapping settings and enable scale snapping as well. Make sure snapping is set to vertex and active is selected. From the top view, press S then Shift Z, so we scale only in X and Y. Then snap it to the outer circle vertex, and now it fits nicely. Next, extrude this edge downward. Press SZ0 to flatten it. Then extrude and scale inwards. After that, use Loop Tool's circle to make it perfectly circular. Now extrude down. Select these edges and bevel them. Add a few loop cuts here. Now select these edges like this and fill this part by pressing F. Do the same on the other side. Add another cut here. Now select all these edges over here. After that, bevel them. If it doesn't bevel properly, recalculate the normals with Shift N. Now, again, select the edges, and after that, bevel them. Then add a cut in the middle here on both sides. Select this edge and bevel it. Now select and dissolve this edge, and this edge, slide it a little. Select this vertex, move it, and snap it here. Then dissolve the middle edge. Slide this vertex a little just to create some space here. Now this part looks good. At the bottom, slide and merge these vertices with this vertex, then dissolve this edge. This will keep that corner sharp. Now we need to duplicate this section all around. Delete all the side parts and keep only the one section we modeled perfectly. Select that mesh, press Alt-E, spin. Enable Use Duplicates and adjust the number of copies. Then select everything and use Merge by Distance to weld the vertices together. Select this edge and extrude it downward. Now this part is nicely done and it looks good. Turn on cavity shading and you can see the details much more clearly. And now the model looks really nice. All right, now we'll model these other details at the back. Over here, this mesh needs to pass through this section inside this part, and this area is also incomplete, so we'll fix that as well. First, select these edges and use bridge edge loops to connect them. Now press P and separate these faces by selection, so this becomes a separate object. We'll use this mesh for a Boolean operation to merge and connect the parts properly. So select the main mesh and then add a Boolean modifier. Then use the eyedropper and select the mesh which we had separated. Choose union so they merge together. Now over here, you can see we are getting some weird shading artifacts, but that's nothing. That's because there are some non-manifold faces inside and some overlapping floating vertices. We'll fix that and clean it up now. First, apply the Boolean modifier. Then delete these faces because we don't need them. Select the full mesh and press Shift-N to recalculate the normals. Now we'll fix this inner part properly by cleaning up the geometry perfectly. First, select these edges and dissolve them. Then add an edge loop like this and connect it with these vertices. Add a cut, then by pressing Ctrl, snap it to this vertex to line it up. Slide and merge this with this vertex. On the other side also add a cut and then join it. Over here, add a cut in the middle, and then connect these vertices. Slide and merge the vertices here as well. Next, add 2 loop cuts like this. Then select these vertices and slide them slightly. Now this side looks good. On the other side, do the same steps to fix that area. At the top also, join these vertices. And now this section is fixed. Next, select the full mesh and press M by distance to merge any overlapping vertices. Now, these faces in the middle should not connect to that part, so delete all these middle faces. Then select both these edges, top and bottom, and then use bridge edge loops to fill this part. Right now, this part's faces are touching the side mesh, so select the faces of this section and scale them slightly inwards so they don't intersect. Now select this edge loop over here all around to sharpen this part. After that, bevel it to keep it tight and sharp. Now this section looks good. Inside this part, add a few loop cuts. Next, we'll create the inner details in this. So for that, select this edge loop, duplicate it, and separate it by selection. Now select the separated mesh, extrude the edge, and scale it inwards. Then add loop cuts exactly where the detail cuts are present. Now select these faces and extrude them slightly downward. Delete the unnecessary faces created during the extrusion. Next, select the full mesh, duplicate it, and move it down. Then press SZ-1 to flip the mesh. Move it back up and snap it into place at the bottom. Now select these top and bottom edges and use bridge edge loops. Also select these inner edges and bridge them as well. Add a few loop cuts here. Now let's bevel all the sharp edges. First, press Shift-N and recalculate the normal so there are no problems. Then select any sharp edge. Go over here and choose Select Sharp Edges. This will select all the sharp edges. Adjust the angle until all the correct edges are selected. Then bevel those edges to keep them sharp after subdivision. And now this part is finished and it looks good. Next, we'll add the detail inside the front hole. Select this edge, duplicate it, and separate it by selection. Now go into the separated mesh, select the full edge loop, and then extrude it inwards. Add a loop cut where the detail is present. Now adjust this so it looks right. Now select the side edges, and then extrude them inwards. Then select these faces here and extrude them inward as well. Then delete the unnecessary faces over here. Add 2 loop cuts here. Next, select all the sharp edges, making sure everything is selected properly. Then bevel them. Now extrude this edge outwards. After that, bevel this edge. Add a loop cut here. And now this part is done. Next, we'll mirror this detail to the other side. Add a mirror modifier to mirror the object. We'll copy this mirror modifier to the other parts as well. Select those objects, move the mirror modifier above the subdivision modifier, then open this menu and choose Copy to Selected. This copies the modifier to the other meshes. Just make sure for every mesh, the mirror modifier stays above the subdivision modifier. And now everything is mirrored properly. This section is complete and the model is looking good. Alright, so we are done modeling this shape nicely and it came out really well. And I hope you learned something from it. Don't forget to watch the first part where we modeled the base shape. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also comment below and give your feedback. Thanks for watching, and I'll meet you in the next one.